It's been 37 years since Coming to America, 1988, first hit theaters, becoming a cultural phenomenon with its unforgettable characters, sharp comedy, and iconic performances. But where are the beloved cast members now in 2025? Some have continued to shine in Hollywood, while others faced heartbreaking turns, career downfalls, or vanished from the spotlight altogether. In this special look back, we uncover the surprising, inspiring, and sometimes tragic journeys of the stars who brought Prince Akeem's world to life. From fame and fortune to loss and redemption, here's what really happened to the cast of Coming to America after all these years. James Earl Jones was born on January 17, 1931, and played King Jaffe Joffer in Coming to America in 1988 when he was 57 years old. His role as the powerful King of Zamunda was marked by regal authority, cultural pride, and that unmistakable thunderous voice. But behind his commanding performances was a man haunted by early abandonment and lifelong battles with anxiety and speech disorders. Though revered publicly, Jones was notoriously inaccessible, retreating for Hollywood parties and press, prompting years of speculation. Several insiders claimed he would often vanish mid-production, citing mental fatigue, frustrating directors and co-stars alike. Despite his legendary status, his refusal to participate in certain studio projects, including rejecting roles deemed stereotypical, made him both a hero and a headache for executives. Privately, he grappled with health issues and the pressure of being a symbol. His marriage endured whispers of estrangement, and he rarely spoke of his son. Jones died on September 9, 2024, at age 93 from undisclosed causes. Calvin Lockhart was born on October 18, 1934, and played Colonel Izzy in Coming to America in 1988 at age 54. On screen, he was magnetic and larger than life, a dramatic foil to Prince Akeem's quiet rebellion. But Lockhart's real-life story read like a fallen star's cautionary tale. A darling of 1970s blaxploitation films, he dazzled Hollywood with his charm, then watched it all slip away. He was labeled difficult by directors for demanding rewrites and rejecting roles he considered degrading. His sharp tongue, once admired, turned into a liability, and studios blacklisted him quietly. Lockhart's personal life was turbulent. 3 divorces, estranged children, and rumored affairs with co-stars that ended messily. In the 80s, he tried a comeback, but health issues and industry resentment kept doors closed. Ironically, he turned to anti-drug activism in the Bahamas while rumors swirled about his own reliance on prescription meds. He died on March 29, 2007, age 72. From complications following a stroke, his career brilliance overshadowed by the cost of standing unflinchingly for dignity. Madge Sinclair was born on April 28, 1938, and portrayed Queen Aeolian in Coming to America at age 50. Her portrayal brought grace and strength to the screen, an elegant queen who balanced her husband's rigidity with compassion. But off-camera, Sinclair's life was marked by pain masked in poise. Diagnosed with leukemia long before the public knew, she continued to work silently while her health deteriorated. Few knew she spent hours between shoots undergoing treatments, collapsing from fatigue in dressing rooms. While she kept a clean public image, private letters later revealed she struggled with industry racism and typecasting, once admitting in a journal she felt erased in the roles I play. Her marriage suffered in silence. She divorced quietly, citing irreconcilable differences, and reportedly grew distant from close family. Despite awards and admiration, she felt deeply underappreciated. She died on December 20, 1995, at the age of 57, her legacy as a screen queen tinged with private sorrow and unrealized artistic hunger. Uncle Ray Murphy, born on November 27, 1938, appeared in Coming to America in 1988 as Stu, when he was 50. Though his role was brief, he added flavor to the streetwise ensemble, blending in as one of the many faces of Queen's chaotic charm. Little was known publicly about him, but those close to Eddie Murphy knew Ray as the family wild card. Unlike his superstar nephew, Uncle Ray never broke into stardom, partly due to clashes with agents over control, and partly because of off-screen behavior. In the early 90s, he was rumored to have scuffled with producers over unpaid dues and uncredited contributions. There were whispers of gambling problems and a failed nightclub venture that ended in debt and estranged friendships. Though never criminally charged, His name came up in multiple behind-the-scenes disputes involving unfulfilled verbal contracts. He passed away on October 15, 2013 at 74. Louis Anderson was born on March 24, 1953, and played Maurice in 1988 at age 35. Maurice was the embodiment of fast food optimism, climbing the McDowell's corporate ladder with pride and innocence. But off-screen, Louis's life was anything but simple. Beneath the wholesome comic persona was a man haunted by a traumatic childhood, raised by an abusive alcoholic father, a pain Louis later exposed in his brutally honest memoirs. In 1997, his carefully constructed image was nearly shattered when he was extorted by a man threatening to expose sexually suggestive advances Anderson allegedly made in a Las Vegas casino. The blackmail scandal led to a private legal settlement and shook his mental health for years. His career took a downturn, with offers drying up until his unexpected comeback in Baskets, a role that earned him an Emmy but came with emotional baggage as he channeled his troubled relationship with his mother into the performance. Louis died on January 21, 2022, at age 68 from complications related to cancer. John Amos was born on December 27, 1939, and portrayed Cleo McDowell in Coming to America in 1988 at the age of 49. As the fast food mogul with delusions of grandeur, Cleo was both comedic and commanding, a father determined to secure a wealthy suitor for his daughter. Amos mirrored that authority off-screen, but his assertiveness often turned combative. On Good Times, he was famously fired for clashing with producers over the show's direction, calling it demeaning to black culture. That firebrand energy followed him throughout his career, respected but rarely easy. He was known to walk off sets over script changes or perceived disrespect. His relationships were rocky. Multiple marriages, estranged children, and bitter financial disputes painted a personal life riddled with conflict. He also faced bankruptcy rumors in the 1990s after a failed real estate investment. Though he eventually found peace in advocacy and quieter roles, he never softened. John Amos died on August 21, 2024 at age 84. Montrose Hagens was born on May 5, 1924, and played Grandma Jenks in 1988 at age 64. Her portrayal was brief but endearing, capturing the comforting, no-nonsense spirit of the black matriarchal archetype. Off-screen, however, Hagens' life bore emotional burdens she rarely discussed. A lifelong educator before turning to acting in her 60s, Montrose broke into Hollywood late, often cast as the token sweet old lady, despite longing for more complex roles. Colleagues recall she sometimes wept off camera, lamenting the late start to her career and the lack of representation for women of her age and race. While no scandals touched her name, she reportedly had a painful estrangement from her only son, who opposed her acting pursuits. Friends claim she battled undiagnosed depression masked by her outward grace. She died on October 24, 2012, at the age of 88, quietly and far from the spotlight she briefly touched. Ralph Bellamy was born on June 17, 1904, and appeared as Randolph Duke in 1988 at age 84, completing the comeback joke from Trading Places with quiet comedic flair. Known for decades as a gentleman of the screen, Bellamy's personal life painted a different picture. Behind the charm was a man who married 4 times, each ending bitterly, including one divorce marked by claims of emotional cruelty and neglect. Insiders say Bellamy had a sharp temper when directors challenged his interpretation of a role, traits glossed over by his clean public persona. In the 1940s, he allegedly had a torrid affair with a young co-star that nearly cost him a lead role when her jealous husband threatened scandal. Later in life, he grew disillusioned with the roles offered, privately referring to some as insults to his legacy. He died on November 29, 1991, at age 87 from a lung ailment, remembered fondly on screen but privately described as a man who carried many regrets. Don Amich was born on May 31, 1908, and reprised his role as Mortimer Duke in 1988 at age 80. His brief cameo was a brilliant callback, a redemption arc sealed with a royal gift. Yet beneath his old Hollywood polish, Amich carried a reputation for being inflexible and politically conservative, even in an industry increasingly demanding change. He privately criticized the liberalizing tone of 80s Hollywood, and some claimed he rejected roles that involved LGBTQ+ themes or interracial intimacy. While not involved in overt scandal, his conservative Catholic beliefs reportedly led to tensions on sets, especially when working with younger, progressive castmates. His earlier golden boy image eroded in later years, as he refused to adapt to Hollywood's shifting culture. He died on December 6, 1993, at age 85 from prostate cancer, leaving behind a conflicted legacy, half icon, half relic of a bygone era. Jim Abrahams, born May 10, 1944, was credited in Coming to America in 1988 at age 44, though his scene never made the final cut. Still, his satirical fingerprints shaped a generation, thanks to Airplane and The Naked Gun. But beneath his comedic genius lay a stormy relationship with Hollywood's power structures. Abrahams was infamously difficult in the editing room, often accused of pushing collaborators out to retain creative dominance. He walked away from several studio projects after explosive disagreements, including one infamous shouting match that ended with him banned from a Paramount soundstage. His private life, however, was colored by pain. His son suffered from severe epilepsy, prompting Abrahams to become a fierce, obsessive advocate for ketogenic diets, sometimes to the point of alienating friends and colleagues. He passed away on November 26, 2024 at 80, having lived a quiet life, largely removed from Hollywood, still polarizing in his refusal to compromise either on art or ideology. Garcelle Beauvais, born November 26, 1966, appeared as a rose-bearer in Coming to America in 1988 at age 22. Silent, statuesque, and striking, her role hinted at the elegance that would later define her career. But while her rise to stardom looked seamless, Beauvais endured a minefield of betrayal and heartbreak. Her most publicized scandal came in 2010, when she discovered her husband had been cheating and exposed him with a furious email to his co-workers, an act that made tabloid headlines. She also struggled to escape hyper-sexualized roles as a black woman in Hollywood, once revealing she was propositioned by a major producer in exchange for a role she turned down. The emotional cost of that rejection, and others like it, weighed heavily. While she now thrives as a talk show host and advocate, insiders recall her early career being filled with anxiety, self-doubt, and tense negotiations over how much skin she was expected to show. In 2025, Beauvais is 58, still outspoken, but visibly hardened by decades of navigating a brutal industry. Paul Bates, born December 24, 1958, portrayed Oha in Coming to America in 1988 at the age of 30. His character, the overly theatrical royal servant who belted out a wedding ballad with surreal sincerity, remains a cult favorite. Yet behind his comedic poise, Bates's career was frustratingly uneven. Though immensely talented, he was repeatedly typecast into servant roles or comic sidekicks, sparking rumors that he once clashed bitterly with a casting director who told him to stick to singing. He faced a long stretch of unemployment in the late 90s and reportedly battled depression in silence. A deeply private man, Bates never married and kept his romantic life entirely off the radar, leading to speculation of repressed struggles with identity in an unforgiving industry. Though never embroiled in scandal, insiders recall him being difficult to engage with on set, cold, withdrawn, almost paranoid. As of 2025, he is 66 and largely retired from acting, quietly living away from the spotlight that never quite gave him his due. Eddie Murphy, born April 3, 1961, played multiple iconic roles in Coming to America in 1988 at just 27. From the noble Prince Akeem to the sleazy soul singer Randy Watson, his performance was a masterclass in comedic shape-shifting. But Murphy's off-screen life was as chaotic as his film characters were varied. A magnet for controversy, he faced paternity lawsuits, a headline-making incident involving a transgender prostitute in 1997, and feuds with everyone from David Spade to Spike Lee. His career nosedived in the early 2000s with critical flops like Pluto Nash, and insiders described him as increasingly reclusive and temperamental on set. His relationships have been rocky, fathering 10 children with 5 different women, several of whom accused him of emotional neglect. Despite all this, Murphy reinvented himself multiple times, balancing scandal with undeniable talent. In 2025, he is 64 and enjoying a quieter resurgence, though the chaos of his earlier fame still shadows every interview and comeback attempt. Arcenio Hall, born February 12, 1956, played multiple iconic roles in Coming to America in 1988 at the age of 32. Semi, the skeptical sidekick, Morris the barber, the hideous clubgoer, and the charismatic Reverend Brown. His brilliance in shifting between personas made him a comedic powerhouse. But Hall's off-screen life tells a very different story, one riddled with whispers of power struggles, difficult behavior, and a dramatic fall from grace. After the Arcenio Hall show was canceled in 1994, rumors swirl that his open platform for controversial guests, especially Nation of Islam figures, had led to quiet blacklisting. Allegations later emerged of toxic backstage behavior, with several former staffers describing him as controlling and manipulative. His years in seclusion sparked speculation of drug dependency and depression, though he denied both. A brief comeback in the 2010s fizzled after industry insiders accused him of burning bridges with former allies, including Eddie Murphy. Now 69 years old in 2025, Hall remains out of the spotlight, a legend tarnished by ego, silence, and unresolved feuds. Jake Steinfeld, born February 21, 1958, played the cab driver in Coming to America in 1988 at 30, delivering a high-energy cameo that mirrored his off-screen body by Jake persona. Known as Hollywood's go-to fitness guru, Jake built an empire on positivity and muscle, but his personal life has seen its own chaos. A micromanager notorious for screaming at underperforming staff, Jake once had multiple lawsuits filed by former employees citing verbal abuse and unsafe gym conditions. His obsession with image control led to an estranged relationship with his brother, actor Daniel Steinfeld, after a bitter dispute over profit shares. In the early 2000s, he faced backlash for a failed youth program accused of misusing state funding, though no charges were filed. Industry veterans whisper about his iron-fisted grip over licensing deals and a failed reality show that he allegedly sabotaged due to creative differences. In 2025, at 67, Jake maintains his fitness brand but has largely retreated from entertainment, having learned the hard way that biceps can't fix broken reputations. Vanessa Calloway, born March 20, 1957, portrayed Amani Izzy in Coming to America in 1988 at age 31, the perfectly submissive bride-to-be whose barking obedience became a standout moment. Though her scene was short, it exposed Hollywood's obsession with the exotic black woman trope. Calloway, determined to defy those limitations, fought hard for substantial roles but often found herself cast as the decorative sidekick. Her stunning looks became both a weapon and a curse. Producers pushed her into provocative photo shoots, sometimes against her will, threatening to blacklist her if she didn't comply. Off-screen, her marriage to anesthesiologist Tony Calloway was rumored to suffer under the weight of her career frustrations and the silent miscarriages she never publicly spoke about. She once confided in an interview that she considered quitting acting altogether after being denied a lead role for being too dark. Despite these setbacks, she remained professionally unscathed by scandal. In 2025, at 68, she's respected but bears the quiet scars of a system that never gave her the spotlight she truly deserved. Cuba Gooding Jr., born January 2, 1968, made a Bowling King Mule missed appearance in Coming to America at age 20, getting a haircut in the background, a cameo that would become a trivia goldmine after he won an Oscar for Jerry Maguire. But his life has been a Hollywood roller coaster, with triumphs spiraling into infamy. By the late 2010s, Gooding was facing over 30 sexual misconduct allegations, some of which resulted in criminal charges. Though he pleaded guilty to one count of forcible touching in 2022, the flood of accusations left his public image in ruins. Once considered the next Denzel, Cuba burned bridges across the industry with erratic behavior on set, heavy drinking, and reported outbursts that made him impossible to insure. Friends say he became paranoid and reclusive, obsessively watching his own old films and refusing therapy. Multiple comeback attempts failed, and former colleagues now speak of him in past tense. As of 2025, he is 57 years old, rarely seen, his legacy deeply stained by the very impulses he once believed he could charm away. Ruben SantiagoHudson, born November 24, 1956, appeared in Coming to America at age 32 as the street hustler, a quick cameo that added color to the city's chaos. Known later as a playwright and eloquent defender of black theater, SantiagoHudson built a legacy on stage and intellect. But that refined exterior masks a path defined by bitterness toward Hollywood. Though he won a Tony, industry insiders revealed he often clashed with producers who he accused of racial tokenism, allegedly leading to several projects being scrapped mid-development. His memoir, though celebrated, left out years of silence from estranged children and a rumored love affair with a married Broadway star that reportedly ended his first marriage. While no public scandal has ever stuck, whispers persist of ego-driven feuds behind the scenes. Now 68, he lectures at universities and produces television, though many note he's more feared than beloved among younger actors for his unforgiving criticism and icy demeanor. Frankie Faison, born June 10, 1949, played the gruff landlord in Coming to America in 1988 at age 39. His role, though brief, carried the real-world weight of New York's hard-edged, no-nonsense gatekeepers of urban life. While Faison later earned critical acclaim in The Wire and Silence of the Lambs, his early career was riddled with rejection and typecasting. Before his breakthrough, he reportedly battled deep resentment over being cast mostly in background black roles, once walking off a set after being asked to tone down the intelligence. Though he publicly maintained a calm image, several former co-stars hinted at his volatile temper, with one unnamed actor accusing him of raging silently off camera and icing out co-stars who outshined him. Faison's private life has been kept under wraps for decades. Some insiders claim he was quietly separated for years before publicly announcing his divorce. Now 76 in 2025, Frankie Faison lives quietly in Maryland, mostly retired but still deeply revered, even if some of his former collaborators remember a man less gentle than the characters he played. Sherry Headley, born July 15, 1964, played Lisa McDowell in Coming to America in 1988 when she was 24. Lisa was everything a romantic lead should be: intelligent, principled, and grounded. But Sherry's real life has been marked by invisible wounds. After early fame, her career stalled for over a decade, a period she once cryptically referred to as "my silence." Behind the scenes, she struggled with the fallout of a failed marriage to actor Christopher Martin, played from Kid and Play, which ended in a contentious divorce and a custody battle over their son. Financial strains followed, including a period in the 2000s when she nearly lost her home. Sources close to Headley say she was blacklisted after refusing advances from a prominent producer in the early 90s, a story never confirmed, but one she hinted at during a panel on industry abuse. Now 60, Headley has re-emerged with grace, but her quiet resilience hides a history shaped by betrayal and career sabotage. Vondie Curtis Hall, born September 30, 1950, played the fast-talking basketball game vendor in Coming to America in 1988 at age 39. His scene was brief but lively, mirroring his real-life charisma. Yet beneath that charm was a career haunted by personal demons. Though celebrated for directing Gridlocked, Curtis Hall was reportedly plagued by addiction in the 90s, entering rehab at least twice, facts buried beneath his clean public persona. Insiders also noted his obsessive perfectionism, which turned collaborative projects into emotional minefields. One actor claimed he rewrote half a film's dialogue without permission, causing production delays and near mutiny. His marriage to actress Kasi Lemmons, though still intact, endured high-profile tensions, especially following her Oscar snub, a disappointment that reportedly consumed their household for years. In 2025, at 74, Curtis Hall teaches and directs, his brilliance never questioned, but his methods still whisper about in hushed tones on indie film sets. Eric Lassau, born July 23, 1962, portrayed Daryl Jenks in Coming to America in 1988 at age 26, a spoiled, ego-driven heir to a hair care empire. While Lassau later won acclaim as Dr. Benton on ER, many forget his early years were defined by typecasting and intense insecurity. Multiple reports from the ER set accused him of being territorial, even allegedly threatening to leave the show if another black male lead was introduced. Former colleagues described him as brilliant but boiling, citing fights with producers and controlling behavior toward guest stars. In his personal life, Lassau remained unmarried, but his long-term relationship with a publicist ended abruptly amid rumors of infidelity and emotional abuse, though nothing was ever confirmed. While directing became his new outlet, industry insiders claim he was quietly removed from a network pilot after berating a younger actress. In 2025, at 62, he remains respected, but insiders still tread lightly around him. Samuel L. Jackson, born December 21, 1948, made a powerful entrance in Coming to America at age 40 as the shotgun-wielding hold-up man. That chaotic burst of rage was not just acting. It echoed a life of real turbulence. Before fame, Jackson was a functioning heroin addict who, by his own admission, was out of his mind during most of the 80s. He once overdosed in front of his daughter and had to be dragged into rehab by his wife. Even post-recovery, his career was marked by heated altercations. He famously called out Spike Lee, clashed publicly with Tarantino, and once threatened to quit a Marvel project over a pay dispute. On set, he's known for a volcanic temper and an intolerance for what he calls rookie energy. Jackson's political bluntness has cost him brand deals, and a leaked email once showed a studio labeling him high risk, high reward. Still, in 2025 at 76, he remains a cinematic titan, untamed, unfiltered, and unapologetically Samuel L. Jackson. Who is your favorite character from Coming to America? How do you feel knowing that some of the actors have passed away? Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, please remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss future videos. Thank you so much.